left. He doesn't have a choice. And so I think that's an element that we haven't sort of explored with Bishop.
At 58, Jason Statham finally opens up in a way fans didn't expect. After years of keeping his personal life guarded and out of the spotlight, a quiet confession has sparked new interest in the relationships that shaped his journey. But who is he really talking about, and why now, after all this time? Join us as we uncover the story behind the woman he called the love of his life. Working class roots. Jason Statham's early life starts in Shirebrook, Derbyshire, England, where he was born into a working class family. Life in this environment was not luxurious or easy. It was practical, focused on earning, surviving, and staying disciplined. From a young age, he saw how effort and consistency mattered more than comfort. That mindset stayed with him as he grew older and later shaped the way he approached everything in life. His father worked different odd jobs to support the household, and his mother worked as a dancer. This mix of physical labor and performance in the family created a unique environment for him. On one side, he saw the value of hard work and persistence. On the other side, he saw movement, control, and discipline through his mother's career. These two influences quietly shaped his personality. He grew up understanding that success does not come from luck, but from effort and control over one's own body and choices. As a child and teenager, Jason was naturally drawn to physical activity. He was not someone who stayed idle for long. He developed a strong interest in diving at an early age. This was not just a casual hobby for him. He trained seriously and committed himself to improving. Diving required focus, timing, and strict physical control, and he responded well to that structure. Over time, he became good enough to compete at a national level. He joined the British National Diving Squad and trained as a competitive athlete for many years. This was a serious commitment that required daily training, discipline, and mental focus. He represented Britain in international competitions long before any idea of acting ever entered his life. During this time, he learned how to handle pressure, how to perform under observation, and how to push himself physically even when it was difficult. Alongside diving, he also developed an interest in martial arts. This added another layer to his physical discipline. Martial arts training is not just about strength, it also requires control, patience, and repetition. These habits became part of his routine mindset. He was building a foundation of discipline without even realizing that it would later help him in a completely different career. Before fame, Jason's life was very different from what people know him for today. He did not immediately move from sports into film or luxury. Instead, he worked in street vending. He sold items like perfume and jewelry in markets, and sometimes even dealt with counterfeit goods. This was a very practical job that required confidence and communication. He had to speak to strangers, make quick decisions, and understand people quickly. These experiences helped him develop strong street awareness and sharp instincts. This period of his life also taught him how to handle rejection and uncertainty. Not every sale worked out, not every interaction was smooth, but he learned to stay steady and keep going. That resilience became part of his personality. He was learning how to read situations and people in real time, a skill that later helped him both in modeling and acting. During this time, his physical appearance also started to play a role in his future. His athletic build and strong presence began to attract attention. Modeling scouts noticed him while he was still involved in everyday work. He did not come from a fashion background, but he had a look that stood out. He was eventually introduced to a sports modeling agency, which became the first step toward a completely new direction in life. This transition into modeling was unexpected. He began working with major brands such as Tommy Hilfiger, Levi's, and French Connection. This exposed him to a completely different world. Instead of markets and sports training facilities, he was now working in fashion shoots and commercial campaigns. It was a shift from physical sport discipline to visual presentation and branding. Even in modeling, his background helped him. He was already comfortable with his body, movement, and confidence in front of people. He did not struggle with performance or pressure. Instead, he adapted quickly and learned how to work in front of cameras. This period also introduced him to people connected to entertainment and film industries, even though he was not actively pursuing acting at the time. This phase became an important turning point in his life. Through modeling work, he eventually came into contact with people in the film industry, which opened the door to acting opportunities later on. What started as a sports-driven life slowly shifted into something much bigger, but it was built entirely on the discipline and habits he had developed since childhood. Jason Statham's early life is not a story of sudden fame. It is a story of steady discipline, physical training, and real-world experience that slowly guided him toward unexpected opportunities. And next, we move into how that foundation suddenly pulled him into the world of movies and turned everything in a completely different direction: an action star. Jason Statham's rise to fame did not happen overnight, and it did not follow a typical Hollywood path. Before acting, he was known for modeling and his athletic background. But everything changed when he was introduced to film director Guy Ritchie. This moment became the starting point of his acting career and completely shifted the direction of his life. At the time, Guy Ritchie was working on a new British crime film called Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, 1998. The film needed actors who felt real, grounded, and believable in street-level roles. Jason Statham was not a trained actor, but that actually worked in his favor. He had spent years in real environments, from competitive diving to street vending, and he carried a natural confidence that did not feel forced. He was cast in the film after impressing Ritchie during discussions and auditions. What stood out was not polished acting skill, but his natural presence. He spoke in a direct way, carried himself with confidence, and had a sense of authenticity that fit the tone of the movie perfectly. When the film was released, it became a success and introduced Statham to audiences for the first time as an actor. Even though his role in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels was not the lead, it was important. It showed that he had screen presence. People noticed him because he felt real on screen. He did not try to act in an exaggerated way. Instead, he delivered lines and performed scenes in a very natural style. This helped him stand out in a film full of strong characters. After this success, Guy Ritchie continued working with him. Their next major collaboration was Snatch, 2000. This film became another important step in Statham's career. In Snatch, he played a more developed character and had more screen time. The movie itself became widely popular and helped solidify both Ritchie and Statham as important names in British cinema. Through Snatch, Jason Statham began to build a clear screen identity. He was often cast as a tough, street-smart character who spoke directly and handled dangerous situations calmly. This type of role suited him well. He was not playing emotional or overly expressive characters. Instead, he focused on controlled behavior, sharp dialogue delivery, and physical confidence. As more British crime films and action-heavy roles came his way, he started building a reputation in this genre. He became known for playing characters who were not overly complicated, but were strong, capable, and believable. This consistency helped him establish a clear identity in the film industry early in his career. As his popularity grew in the UK, Hollywood began to take notice. This marked the next major phase of his career. He moved from British crime films into larger American productions. This transition was important because it exposed him to a global audience and much bigger film budgets. One of the key films that defined his international image was the Transporter franchise. In this series, Jason Statham played a professional driver and fighter who followed strict personal rules. The role fit him perfectly. He performed many of his own stunts, including driving sequences and fight scenes. This added to his reputation for physical authenticity. In The Transporter, his character spoke very little compared to many Hollywood leads. Instead of relying on dialogue, the character was built through action, movement, and physical presence. This became one of Statham's signature traits. He did not rely heavily on emotional speech or long conversations. Instead, he focused on controlled performance and physical precision. This approach helped him stand out in Hollywood, where many action stars were known for larger-than-life personalities. Statham brought something different. His performances felt grounded and practical. He did not exaggerate his roles. He kept them simple, direct, and focused on action. After the success of The Transporter, his career expanded quickly. He began working in a variety of action films that continued to build his image as a reliable action star. Movies like Crank, The Italian Job, and Death Race added more variety to his portfolio. In Crank, he played a character in constant physical motion, which allowed him to show extreme energy and intensity. In The Italian Job, he worked as part of an ensemble cast in a high-profile heist film. In Death Race, he returned to a more aggressive action role focused on survival and competition. Each of these films added a new layer to his career while still keeping his core identity intact. During this period, he also started collaborating with major Hollywood studios. This meant bigger budgets, larger audiences, and more global distribution. However, even with this growth, he did not change his basic acting style. He continued to focus on action-driven roles and maintained a consistent screen image. As his filmography expanded, Jason Statham became known for something very specific in Hollywood: He was not the type of actor who played a wide emotional range of characters. Instead, he built his career around action, discipline, and physical performance. This consistency helped him become a recognizable figure in global cinema. A key part of his public image is his commitment to doing his own stunts. In many of his films, he performs fight scenes, driving sequences, and physical action himself. This added a layer of realism to his work. Audiences began to associate him with authenticity because what they saw on screen often reflected real physical effort. This also set him apart from many other Hollywood actors who rely heavily on stunt doubles. Statham's willingness to perform his own action scenes helped build trust with audiences. It reinforced the idea that his characters were not just fictional heroes, but physically believable ones. Another important part of his image is contrast. In a film industry often filled with highly expressive and highly public personalities, Jason Statham stands out for his controlled and private nature. He does not present an overly emotional or dramatic public image. Instead, he maintains a calm, focused, and private personal life. This balance between intense on-screen roles and quiet off-screen behavior became part of his identity. It made him feel consistent and grounded, both in films and in public perception. Over time, this helped strengthen his position as a long-term action star rather than a short-term celebrity. By the time he became fully established in Hollywood, Jason Statham had created a very clear path for himself. He was no longer just a former athlete or model. He had become a global action actor known for physical skill, consistency, and a very specific style of performance. And next, we move into the relationships that shaped his personal life during this rise, including the one that brought him into the public spotlight outside of film: Jason Statham and Kelly Brook. Jason Statham's early high-profile relationship with Kelly Brook was one of the first times his personal life became a major topic in the public eye. By this point in his career, he had already started gaining attention as an action actor. But this relationship brought a different kind of spotlight, one focused on his life outside of films. Jason Statham met Kelly Brook in the early 2000s. At the time, both of them were rising figures in the British entertainment world. Statham was building his reputation through films like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch, while Brook was becoming one of the most recognizable models in the UK, also moving into acting and television. Their relationship quickly became public because of who they were. The media in the UK was highly interested in both of them, and once they were seen together, it did not take long for the relationship to become widely covered in tabloids and entertainment news. From the beginning, they were not just seen as a couple in private, they were seen as a public pair. The early phase of their romance was reported as strong and visible. They appeared at events together and were often photographed by paparazzi. This attention came naturally because both were already public figures. However, it also meant that their relationship was constantly under observation, even during normal day-to-day moments. Their relationship lasted for around 7 years, making it one of the longer relationships in Statham's early life. During this time, both of their careers were developing, but not in the same direction or at the same speed. Kelly Brook's career grew quickly in the UK media space. She became a major modeling figure and also appeared in television and film roles, which kept her in the public eye frequently. Jason Statham, on the other hand, was increasingly focused on building his acting career in action films, especially as he moved toward Hollywood projects. His work required long filming schedules, often outside the UK, which meant he was frequently traveling or based abroad for extended periods. As their careers grew, the differences in their professional lives became more noticeable. Brook's work often kept her in the UK entertainment and fashion world, where media attention was constant and local. Statham's career was becoming more international, with projects that took him across different countries. This created distance, both physically and in terms of daily lifestyle. The pressure of fame also played a major role in their relationship. Because both were well known, they were constantly followed by paparazzi. Every public appearance, holiday, or event became potential media content. This level of attention made it difficult to maintain privacy in their relationship. Simple moments were often photographed and reported, which added pressure over time. Long distance also became a challenge. Statham's filming schedule often kept him away for months at a time. This kind of separation is difficult in any relationship, and in their case, it was made more complicated by public attention. When one partner is traveling for work while the other remains in a highly visible media environment, maintaining balance becomes harder. Over time, differences in lifestyle expectations also started to appear. While both were successful, they were moving in slightly different directions in terms of personal priorities and daily life. Statham's focus was becoming more centered on film work, discipline, and maintaining a private lifestyle. Brooke's career involved more public appearances, interviews, and media engagement, which kept her in the spotlight more frequently. These differences did not create public conflict, but they did create distance in how they lived their lives. The relationship continued for several years despite these challenges, but it became increasingly difficult to manage the pressures that came with fame, travel, and different career paths. In 2004, the relationship ended. The split was reported widely in the media, but it did not involve major public drama or scandal. There were no public accusations or controversies attached to the breakup. Instead, it was generally understood as a separation caused by lifestyle differences and career pressures. After the breakup, Jason Statham became noticeably more private about his personal life. He did not publicly discuss the relationship in detail, and he gradually shifted his focus even more toward maintaining a low-profile personal life outside of his film career. This approach would later become a consistent part of how he handled relationships moving forward. The end of this relationship marked an important moment in his personal development. It showed how difficult it can be to balance two public careers under constant media attention. It also influenced how he approached privacy in future relationships, especially as his fame continued to grow globally. And next, we move into the turning point in his personal life when he met Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, and everything shifted into a quieter, more stable direction, meeting Rosie. By 2009, Jason Statham was already an established action star. His film career was stable, his public image was well-defined, and he had already experienced what a highly public relationship could feel like. This time in his life marked a clear shift in how he approached romance and privacy. It was during this period that he met Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, and it quietly changed the direction of his personal life. Jason Statham met Rosie Huntington-Whiteley in 2009 in London. The two were introduced at a social event where people from entertainment, fashion, and film often crossed paths. At that point, Rosie was still early in her career, but already gaining strong attention in the modeling world. She was working with major brands and building a name for herself, especially in high fashion and commercial modeling. From the start, their meeting did not feel like a public spectacle. It was a private introduction in a social setting, and it stayed that way in the early stages. One detail that media often pointed out was the age gap between them. Jason was significantly older and Rosie was still in her 20s. However, this difference was more of a media talking point than something that defined their relationship. For them, it was not the central issue. The early chemistry between Jason and Rosie was described as immediate and natural. There was a sense that they understood each other's world without needing explanation. Both had experience working in industries that come with pressure, attention, and constant movement. Jason had already lived through years of filming schedules, action roles, and public attention. Rosie was beginning to experience similar pressure through modeling and growing fame. This shared understanding of public life made it easier for them to connect. Neither of them needed to explain what it felt like to live under scrutiny or travel constantly for work. They already understood it. This created a level of comfort early on that helped their relationship grow without confusion or conflict about lifestyle. Another important factor was their shared comfort with travel and international work. Jason's film career often took him across different countries for shooting schedules, while Rosie's modeling work involved fashion weeks, photo shoots, and global brand campaigns. Both were used to living out of suitcases, adjusting to different cities, and managing busy schedules. This made their lives naturally compatible in practical terms. As their relationship began, they made a clear decision to keep things quiet. Unlike Jason's earlier relationship, which was highly public and constantly covered by the media, this new relationship developed away from constant attention. There were no early public announcements or heavy media exposure. Instead, they kept things private and allowed the relationship to grow without outside pressure. This approach was a noticeable contrast to Jason's past high-profile relationship with Kelly Brook. Back then, his personal life had been closely followed and heavily discussed in the media. With Rosie, things were different. The relationship was not used as a public story. It was kept low-key and only gradually became known to the public over time. At the same time, Rosie's career was also growing rapidly. she was becoming more visible in the fashion industry, especially during her time working with Victoria's Secret. This period marked her rise as an international model, and she was gaining recognition beyond the UK. Despite this growing fame, she managed to maintain a balance between her career and her private life with Jason. As the relationship became more established, the public slowly became aware of it. Unlike many celebrity couples that announced their relationships openly, Jason and Rosie were discovered more than they were introduced. Paparazzi photos and occasional appearances confirmed what was already happening privately. Even then, they did not turn their relationship into a public event. One of the defining features of their relationship became Jason's protective approach to privacy. He was careful about what he shared and what he kept away from public attention. Over time, this protective nature became a consistent part of how their relationship was seen. He did not try to turn their relationship into a media story. Instead, he focused on keeping it stable and out of unnecessary attention. This privacy also helped reduce pressure. Without constant media commentary or public expectations, they were able to focus more on their actual relationship rather than outside opinions. This created a calmer environment compared to Jason's earlier experiences in public relationships. Stability became one of the strongest features of their connection. Both Jason and Rosie seemed to prefer a low-drama lifestyle. They were not interested in making their relationship part of constant public discussion. Instead, they focused on their careers, travel, and private life together. This shared preference for privacy and independence made their relationship stronger over time. Rosie also adapted well to life connected to Hollywood and international film culture. Even though she remained strongly connected to modeling, she became comfortable being part of Jason's world as well. She did not lose her identity as a model, but she also adjusted to the demands and lifestyle that come with being in a relationship with a global action star. Their relationship worked because it was balanced. Jason continued focusing on films and maintaining his established career, while Rosie continued building her modeling and acting presence. Neither of them needed to change their identity for the relationship to function. Instead, they supported each other's individual paths while sharing a stable personal connection. Over time, their relationship became known for its consistency rather than public drama or frequent headlines. They avoided unnecessary exposure and kept their private life separate from their professional lives. This approach helped them maintain stability in an industry where relationships are often heavily scrutinized. What made this relationship different from Jason's earlier one was not just the person he was with, but the way he approached it. He had already experienced the pressure of public attention in a relationship before, and this time he chose a different path. That shift in approach played a key role in how the relationship developed and lasted. By the time they were fully established as a couple, Jason and Rosie had created a partnership built on privacy, understanding, and shared lifestyle habits. It was not driven by publicity or media attention. It was built quietly, away from constant observation, and allowed to grow at its own pace. And next, we move into how this quiet relationship eventually moved into engagement and family life without ever fully becoming a traditional Hollywood public spectacle. Engagement and family. By 2016, Jason Statham and Rosie Huntington-Whiteley had already been together for several years. Their relationship had grown steadily and quietly without the kind of public drama or constant attention that often surrounds celebrity couples. At this stage, they took another important step forward in their lives together when their engagement was confirmed. The engagement in 2016 was not handled in a typical Hollywood way. There was no large public announcement, no staged media moment, and no exclusive interview explaining the details. Instead, the news became public in a more subtle way, as media outlets picked up on it rather than receiving a formal statement. This matched the couple's long-standing approach to privacy. They did not try to turn personal milestones into public events. Even after the engagement became known, Jason and Rosie kept their focus on their private life rather than public attention. They did not rush into creating a media narrative around the engagement. Instead, they continued living in a calm and controlled way, allowing their relationship to progress without external pressure or expectations. In 2017, the couple welcomed their first child, a son. This moment marked a major change in both of their lives. Becoming parents shifted their priorities and daily routines. For Jason Statham, it also changed how many people viewed him. He was no longer seen only as an action star known for intense roles and physical performances. Public perception began to include a more personal side of him as a father. This shift did not come from interviews or public statements. Instead, it came naturally from the fact that he had become a parent. Fans and media began to see him in a new light, where his family life became part of his overall image. However, Jason himself did not change his approach to publicity. He continued to keep his personal life private and avoided using his family for public attention. Rosie Huntington Whiteley also adjusted her life during this period. While becoming a mother, she continued her career in fashion and modeling. She managed both roles at the same time, balancing motherhood with professional commitments. Her work did not stop, but her focus naturally expanded to include her child and family life. One of the most consistent choices the couple made after becoming parents was how they handled privacy. They made a clear decision not to overexpose their child to the public. They rarely shared personal details and were careful about what they showed in interviews or on social media. When they did share moments, it was done in a controlled and selective way, not as a regular part of their public presence. This approach continued over the years. In 2022, the couple expanded their family with the birth of their second child. Once again, this major life event was handled privately. There was no public spectacle around the birth. Instead, the information became known quietly, consistent with how they had handled previous milestones in their relationship. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real stories from Hollywood's most talked about lives.